For some reason, it's not letting me pin you
You're not
guys
the-
for some reason, but that's okay. We could just get started already. All right, so I would just like to take the time for the speakers to introduce themselves. So my name is Ryan, and this is my partner Kales, and we've been adventuring with our cats, Newt, Emu, and T since 2018. So we have a lot of experience of adventuring outdoors, whether it's hiking, camping, or water adventures under our belt. And then if Kylie or Kaylee can introduce themselves as well as your cats and how long you guys have been adventuring.
Something had to be done. Yeah.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Kylie and this is Kayla. Hi. Our cats are Benny and Fox, and they're a year old. We've been adventuring since they were 5 months old. And yeah, they love going like in the backyard to explore and on hikes with us.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Emily, if you could introduce yourself as well.
Sure. I'm Emily Hall with Kitty Cat Go Adventures on Instagram. I have 7 cats, and 3 of them are adventurers and enjoy going outside. We go hiking and camping and canoeing and kayaking and all the things. And our oldest adventure is 10 now. And so we've been adventuring with her for about 9 years.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So I know that the hiking and outdoors session, like I know there's a lot of tips and a lot of things that can be learned from this session. And we are under a bit of a time constraint. So I just wanted to take the time for each speaker to speak on a specific topic or adventure that they usually like to go on, whether it's hiking or camping. That people here in this session.
Yeah, and don't forget to mute your mic unless you're the speaker, just to limit the distraction in the background.
Awesome. So yeah, whichever one of you guys want to go first and explaining your favorite adventures.
All right, we can start. So our biggest adventure is just going hiking with the cats. They love going on hikes. We live in a really outdoorsy area. There's lots of trails around. When we started, we just would always go on smaller trails that are less busy, and we would go when it was like an off hour, so weekdays or like in the mornings, and we just take the cats in the backpacks and then put the backpacks kind of on the trail and see if they want to get out, and if they want to get out or if they don't want to get out. It's up to them always. And then we'll just see if they want to lead the way, let them just sniff around and kind of explore the areas a lot.
Do you guys have any like specific restraints in like hiking? So do you guys have a specific amount of like miles you usually like to go to make your cats feel comfortable?
So we usually don't have much of a destination. We usually just let the cats kind of decide what they want to do. Or if we do have a destination, we'll kind of carry them in the backpack for part of the way at least. And yeah, they're still learning a lot, so it's still quite chill.
Awesome. Yeah. With usually hiking, do you guys like do any kind of like preparation and checking the trails, specific trails that are cat friendly or something like that?
Yes. We always know the trail beforehand and know what to expect, how many people are usually on the trails, and what kind of the terrain's going to be like too.
And I do know that a lot of people have had questions on like what you usually do if your cat gets scared all of a sudden, or like if they aren't returning back to you. And do you guys have any tips or suggestions that you could offer?
Yeah. So we always have the backpack. They both share the Navigator backpack because they're both small. So Fox goes 7 pounds and Fenny's 8, so they can fit in it together, which is nice. And then we always have the backpack available for them. And if we see people coming or there's a dog, we get them like ready to go in the backpack. And then they just go in there when we pass by anything scary, and they feel quite safe. And yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Emily, I think you've also gone hiking with your cats as well. Is there any kind of suggestions or tips that you can offer as well?
Well, I agree with what Kylie said about using the backpack, letting your cat decide when they're ready to come out, and just giving them a chance to gauge, are they safe? And I always make sure to go to trails that are maybe less high traffic, so I don't have to worry about running into a lot of people or possibly dogs. The downside to the less trafficky trails is sometimes there tend to be more off leash dogs because people think, oh, no one's here, so I can let my dog off leash. So you kind of have to, it's kind of a catch-22 with that one. And then as far as like getting my cats to actually hike the trail, my biggest tip for that is to stay on trails that are more narrow and avoid like big open fields and spaces, because cats tend to get nervous if they're in a big open space. And then you can also, one of my cats loves to chase like vines, or so I'll like grab a branch or a vine and like drag it behind me on the trail, and he'll just like chase it right along, and he loves that. So that helps a lot.
A really good tip. Thank you so much. We like to hike with our cats as well. We usually like to do a large planning scale, so we understand what's on the hike and what we can do on the hike. So whether or not it's pet friendly, as well as like backpacking on the dog situation. Most dogs aren't necessarily leashed on hikes here in the PNW, unfortunately. But I could offer like a good tip would be, even if your cat isn't clicker trained, I would suggest even having a clicker. Clickers can also help recall or redirect their attention back on you in case they're overstimulated, unpopulated areas or anything like that. So just that your cat is aware that they're behind you or you're behind them, so they can retreat back to you if they're uncomfortable or anything like that. But yeah, awesome. All right, so I also have notes here. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes real quick. All right, and then Emily, I know that you have also gone camping with your cats. Are there any kind of like suggestions or tips, anything that you do to prepare to help bring your cats outdoors for camping?
Yes, absolutely. So if you've never been camping with your cats before, my biggest tip is to do a trial run like in your backyard before you go out to a campsite, because then you can see how your cat responds to sleeping in that new environment. You can test out all of your gear in a more controlled environment. And then if you need to abort the mission, if they're like too freaked out, you can just go back inside. It's right there. So I've done that with my cats each before we took them on an actual camping trip. And then as far as like gear to bring, in addition to the regular kind of things that you bring hiking, like of course harness and leash, backpack, treats, food, litter box, all that stuff, kind of more unusual kind of gear items is like a cable lead. So if your cat is comfortable at the campsite, you can tie one of those cable leads like between two trees on your site and attach them, so that way they can hang out in the campground with you, but still be secured. And if they're not so comfortable with that, you can use a playpen or a mesh tent or something, so that way they're not having to be put away the whole time. They can still be with you, but in more of an enclosed space. And then also like an LED collar or LED lights, that way at night your cat is noticeable, you can see them really easily. For securing the tent at night, I use bread bag ties, so that way, because they're really easy, you can quickly undo them if you have to get out to go to the bathroom or something in the middle of the night, but your cat will probably have a hard time untwisting a bread bag tie, so keep those zippers locked. And then clip your cat's nails so that they don't tear up the tent.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions for like litter use or anything? Are you using the bathroom for the cats outdoors when it comes to camping?
My cats don't use the bathroom outdoors, so I just bring a litter box and have that set up. My husband and I have a pretty large tent, like, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe it's even a 6-person tent, I'm not really sure. So we have a lot of space in our tent. So we have like our sleeping area, and then we have another area, like the other half of the tent, where we set up their litter box and stuff like that. So, and we always bring like a little hand broom, so that way if litter gets out of the box, we can easily like clean that up, so we're not walking all over litter in the tent.
Yes, one of the famous, infamous things that cat owners have to deal with is litter everywhere. Awesome. So this is just a question for both of you. Do you both use like any kind of medication for your cats when they go outdoors, like flea medication or preventatives or anything like that?
I do flea and tick. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. I know that there are some questions in the chat that we probably could reserve for the end, but I know that there are a couple people asking about that. Have either of you have experience with like recall training at all? Whatsoever? Okay, awesome. Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit like how your cat reacts in recall training?
I can let Kayla and Kylie take this one.
Yeah, sorry, Kaylee, yeah.
So yeah, they know their names, so we always call them, and then one way that we actually get them to like move along the trail is one of us will go ahead and call their name, and then we've just started using the clicker as well, and then we'll just like go ahead, and that will encourage them to follow along, or if they're like kind of further out, and then they'll just come back to us by using that.
Yeah. That's about the same with our cats. Newt's a little bit more stubborn. So when I call his name, he'll look back at me and then plant himself down on the ground until I catch him. He's not really one to like want to walk back. He's like, either come to me or I'm not coming at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome. Recall training is just really good just to be able to get your cat's attention as well as just to know that you're there and have them be aware that you're there to like be in the area that they're secure and everything when it comes to outdoor training as well. So are either of you guys experienced with like any kind of water activities or water sports or anything like that with your cats at all?
Yeah, we have a canoe and we take our cats out on the canoe, and we've been kayaking a couple times too. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, awesome. I see that in the chat. Some people are also saying that air tags are also pretty good as well, just in case, you know, your cat does decide to skid off somewhere, you're easily able to track them. We do have an air tag for Newt that we don't really use often just because he never is out of our sights, but it is also a really good tool to have too. Sorry, backpacking on the water sports. Sorry, I'm like everywhere right now. Yeah, we take our cats canoeing and like out to the water all the time. I would suggest like for anyone who really wants to bring their cats outdoors when it comes to water is start desensitizing them almost to anything. This can apply to just hiking, like urban adventures, camping, or anything. Like desensitizing is a really big first step in training, period. And that could just range from just like, you know, having like an inch of water in your bathtub or just filling your sink up with just a bit of water for your cat to play with, just so that they're a little bit more comfortable. I know a lot of cats are more scared of just the noise when it comes to water instead of just the water itself. So you just want to be attentive for when you do go to outdoor adventures with water, be aware of like the noise traffic that's coming in and out, as well as like the people around too. We like to usually like bring our navigator backpack on the boat with us so that our cats have an area to retreat back to in case that they just don't want to be out in the open anymore. Sometimes, yeah. So like it just helps just with security as well as just comfortability as well for them. Awesome. Do either of you guys have like any experience with like urban adventures, like going out to the city or anything like that?
Not too much. My cats aren't fans.
Yeah, usually urban adventures are a little bit more scary for cats just because of the noise level. With like outside and, you know, hiking adventures, it's a lot less people, less condensed for the cats. So they have a lot more freedom to be a lot more independent. So like in city adventures, it could be a little bit intimidating just because of the sound and the people. We do like to bring our cats to like farmers markets that we bring our navigator with as well. If we do carry like a wagon as well. So like we'll have our navigator bag inside the wagon. They'll be able to walk around in the wagon itself so that they have a little bit more wiggle room, so that in case that they're uncomfortable or anything like that. Let's see, I'm just reading some of the questions in the chat. There's just a ton. Let's see. So what would happen in the event of like a canoe capsizing? So when that happens, you always want to prepare for like the worst. Always expect the worst. Bring proper gear and equipment, which can include life vests. And we talked about this in our last session, that life vests for cats can be a little weird fitting just because I don't really know many, you know, vendors that have cat life vests. It's usually always just dog life vests. And with cats, they have such a small chest compared to dogs. We like to buy like an extra small life vest from like a dog company or something like that and have our cats in it. We talked about in our last session as well that if a life vest is on a cat, you would always want to have a harness and leash attached just in case that the cat were to like swim away or something like that. So, but yeah, awesome. Let's see. So yeah, someone actually mentioned in the chat that Surfer Cat Maeve actually made a new life jacket as well. If you don't follow Surfer Cat Maeve on Instagram, she's just a huge water kitty that's big on adventures on the water as well. Let's see. So I just also want to open maybe possibly for people to chat and chime in, like any questions you have for Kylie and Emily here on any adventures hiking outdoors. I know that the outdoor topic itself, it's so big. It's like we have a lot to talk about, a lot of ground to cover in such a short amount of time. So anyone who wants to chime in, whether using the audio or using the chat, you guys can do so as well. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see.
There's a lot of really good questions. If we can't answer them all, you guys have all of our Instagram handles, so you can feel free to answer if none of them get answered that you would like to hear about.
Let's see. So I'm seeing one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I see Adami asked about counter conditioning to city noises. And so that's actually something that I'm working on with my cat Kylo, because he loves hiking. He loves all of the outdoorsy adventures where there's not people. He doesn't have to worry about any of that. But as soon as we go to a restaurant patio or something like that, he kind of, clams up and is not comfortable. So what I've just been doing with him to try to get him used to the busier places with more commotion is always bring his backpack. And for example, like I've been working on getting him comfortable with eating with us at like restaurant patios. And so he stays in his backpack right beside me, and I'm constantly giving him treats. So that way, he's associating these experiences with positive things. And now it seems to be working because he's now getting to where he'll like pop his head out of his backpack and he's not like, hunkered down in it. So I think treats, as you're introducing your cat to these new situations, using treats a lot helps. I'm not a trainer, so I'm sure somebody could offer better advice than that, but that's what I've got.
Yeah, I mean, like any kind of treats are motivators for cats, so it's a good tool as well. I see in the chat as well, like, do your cats, from Michelle, do your cats jump out of the backpack, or does it always stay closed? Kylie, could you elaborate whether or not you keep your bag closed for anything like that?
Yeah, so when we're out on the trail, we always keep the top open, and if they want to jump out, they can, and we're ready to like walk with them. And if they just feel more comfortable in the backpack, they're still able to do that. And then of course, if we're like somewhere where we don't want them out, then we just close it up.
I know a lot of people have questions about hiking with two cats. Like, could you offer any kind of advice with hiking with two cats?
Yeah, totally. So we always go together, and that makes it easier, definitely. So we have one person carrying the backpack and then one person kind of watching to see what they want to do. And then if they are walking, someone can take that one. Of course, when they're both walking, they always kind of have different paces or different directions to go. So it's definitely easier to have two people, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to suggest for those who are worried about their cats escaping, sometimes if we open up our pouches, whether it's the front or the top, we actually clip an actual harness onto them. So that way, when they do jump out, it's not being yanked from the backpack. They can automatically just be free. So if you're worried about them being like choked, or if you just have a really excited one, just try doing your harness or your leash, whatever you use to walk your cat. Try clipping that on, to kind of go from there.
Yeah, we do hike alongside together as well, kind of like you guys do as well, because we hike with two cats. Our cats usually like to do the follow the leader kind of thing. So like Newt will follow forward in front, and then if Emu sees Newt, she'll just run up to him and like pitter patter right behind him to catch up to him every now and then. So it really helps having a second pair of hands handle, especially two cats, even just one cat. It also just really helps having a second pair of hands. All right. And then I do see in the chat that, like, would you recommend recall training before going hiking? Could either of you guys have any tips or anything like that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a pretty important skill. And one that you can work on inside and even just in your backyard, so that you have a little bit more peace of mind before you go hit the trail or whatever. Of course, circumstances are always different when you're on a trail. You never know, like, just because your cat comes to you when you call them at home or in your backyard in a new situation when they're really scared, you hope that they will, of course, but the more you practice that kind of thing, the more confident and the more likely it will be that they do that. So I definitely recommend the recall training before, bigger adventures.
Absolutely. And of course, you don't always have to have your cat like immediately come back to you with recall training. It's like usually like immediately coming back. Some cats super independent. Sometimes they just don't like to listen, which is fine. That's completely fine. Hiking and going outdoors is always a patience game for any kind of training. Hence why like I do recommend like the clicker. I know in some environments the clicker can't be necessarily heard just because of the loud noises, but it can just like really help in redirecting the cat's attention. They don't necessarily have to come back, but as long as they're looking right back at you, knowing that you're there and they're aware, it also just really, really does help. Awesome. All right, and then I know we're heading towards the end of our session. I'm so sorry that we couldn't like really talk a whole lot about everything. And I know that we're going to be doing some prize rewarding and picking some winners for prizes as well. So let's see. For the prize for choice of any harness or leash set, it goes to Margaret McDonald. Is Margaret still here? If you're still here, Margaret, could you either raise your hand or say something in the chat or something? Oh, yes, you are. Awesome.
Yeah,
Great. Oh, you got that. Awesome.
All right, congrats.
Congratulations. Sweet. And then we do have supplements from Inclover, our partners with Inclover. So is Elaine Liang here? I'm sorry if I
Yes,
mispronounced.
I am.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yay.
Awesome. I know everything's a little bit weird right now, but congratulations, everyone. If you guys were heading over to your next sessions, let me see the schedule real quick. If you're either staying in, let me pull up the schedule real quick. Sorry about that.
We're all going back to the main chat, I think.
No. So we have 3 other Zoom rooms coming in. So one of them is going to be how to build your social media following. Another one will be clicker training. So if you're interested in teaching your cats how to be clicker trained and everything, that'll be in Zoom room 2, which I'm sure all the travel cat team members are actually going to post that inside the chat. And then we do have a product demo in the main room. So we'll be able to demonstrate all of those new products with Travel Cat as well. Yeah, awesome. Sweet. So yeah, if you guys were looking on heading over to the other sessions, you could do that now, or you could just hang out and say goodbye to me if you want.
Yeah, and there's
So,
details in the chat for the winners to reach out to your cat backpack, okay?
awesome. Well, thank you again, guys, for joining us for our session. Thank you again, Emily. Thank you, Kylie, and your partner as well. Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
awesome. Yeah, see you guys later.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.